What would you do if a cop smiled, handed back your license, then kept you talking just long enough to search your car? That tiny pause is the police tactic drivers need to watch for right now. One wrong answer in that moment can turn a warning into cuffs fast. Hit subscribe right now because what you hear today could protect you during your next traffic stop. Like this video too, because you will want to find it again when your nerves kick in. Here's what you're about to learn, and you need every part of it. You're going to learn the one question that tells you if the stop is really over. You're going to hear the exact line that blocks a consent search before it starts. You're going to learn what to say when an officer orders you out of your car and how to do it without making things worse. Then I'm going to show you how to stop feeding police the extra facts they use against you. Most people have no idea the stop can shift from a traffic ticket into a fishing trip this fast. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and you see the same pattern again and again. A friendly tone, a casual question, a tiny delay. Then your rights start slipping away because you kept talking. Now let's talk about why this matters so much to you. A normal traffic stop is supposed to be simple. The officer pulls you over. They check your license, insurance, and registration. They deal with the reason for the stop. Then you leave. That's it. But a lot of drivers make the same mistake. They think the danger is the lights, the badge, or the ticket. It's not. The real danger comes after the basic traffic work is done. That's when the officer starts sounding relaxed. They ask where you're coming from, where you're going, why you seem nervous, if there's anything illegal in the car, if they can take a quick look. Here's the reality. The stop often stops being about driving and starts being about building a search. And if you don't know the right words, you help build that case against yourself. The first tactic you need is spotting the fake ending. This is the moment an officer gives you your papers back, maybe even says something nice, but keeps you there with more questions. You think you have to stay because the uniform is still right there. That is where you need to get clear, fast, and calm. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, am I free to leave? Word for word, keep your voice steady, keep your hands where they can see them, say nothing else until you hear the answer. Let me show you exactly why this matters. If the officer says yes, the stop is over, and you leave. If the officer says no, then you know you are still being held, and now every extra minute matters. This is 100% legal. You are not being rude. You are not resisting. You are asking a simple question about your status. Bad way. Most drivers say, yeah, sure, what's up? Then the officer keeps them talking and starts building suspicion. Good way. Smart drivers say, officer, am I free to leave? Then the officer has to get clear about what is happening. Watch what happens when you ask that question. The whole mood changes. The officer either lets you go, or they must choose to keep detaining you. If they keep detaining you, that choice matters later. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it helps show the stop was dragged out. And that brings us to the legal backup. In Rodriguez versus United States, the Supreme Court said police cannot stretch a traffic stop longer than needed just to run a dog around your car unless they have a real reason to suspect another crime. Plain English. They cannot turn a 10-minute ticket into a 20-minute investigation just because they feel like it. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. Now be smart here. If they have not given your papers back yet, you are likely still in the normal stop. So do not try to sound like a lawyer. Do not argue on the roadside. Just wait until the basic business looks done, then ask your question. If they keep asking where you came from or where you're headed, you already know the stop may be sliding into investigation mode. That's why this one sentence is so powerful. It forces clarity. And clarity protects you, because if you never ask, the officer gets the benefit of your silence and your confusion. If you do ask, the record starts getting cleaner for you. Have you ever had an officer keep talking after handing back your license? Drop a comment below, because that's the exact moment this tactic usually starts. The second tactic is the consent trap, and this one gets drivers in trouble every single day. The officer does not need to bark orders. They usually go soft. They say, you don't mind if I take a look, right? Or, if you've got nothing to hide, we can clear this up fast. That sounds casual, but it is a trap. Because the second you say yes, you just opened the door to a full search of places you did not mean to offer. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Word for word. Memorize that line. Say it calm. Say it once. If needed, say it again the same way. Do not explain. Do not argue. Do not add nervous little jokes after it. Here's the reality. A lot of drivers think refusing a search makes them look guilty. That fear is exactly why the tactic works. Police know most people want to seem nice. They know you do not want tension. They know you want the stop over. So they ask in a way that sounds small and easy. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. A simple yes can give them access to bags, boxes, and other containers inside your car. That is not a guess. In Florida versus Jimeno, the Supreme Court said if you give general consent to search a car for drugs, police can usually open containers inside that car that might hold drugs. Plain English, plain. Your one yes can become permission for a lot more than you expected. Bad way. Most drivers say, I guess that's fine. Then the officer searches the whole car and opens closed containers. Good way. Smart drivers say, Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then the officer must rely on some other legal reason. This is 100% legal. You do not have to help police search your own car. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection during a roadside stop. And listen closely because this is critical. Your refusal does not magically stop every search. Police may still search if they claim they have another lawful reason, but your refusal still matters because it blocks the easiest path. It removes consent from the story. Later, if your case lands in court, your lawyer is not fighting your own words. Your refusal keeps the line clean. Former police officers have confirmed this works because consent is the fastest, easiest shortcut for a vehicle search. Take that shortcut away. Also, do not get cute with your wording. Do not say, I'd rather you didn't. Do not say, why do you need to? Do not say, only if you're quick. Those lines create room, and police love room. Your line has to be firm and easy to repeat. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. That's it. If they keep pressing, you keep the same sentence. No extra story, no anger, no moving around in the seat, no reaching into bags. You stay calm, you stay still, you keep your rights intact. The third tactic is what to do when the officer tells you to step out. A lot of drivers think stepping out means the search is already legal. That is not true. Police can usually order you out of the car during a lawful traffic stop. But your job is not to argue on the shoulder. Your job is to comply without giving away more rights. You look at the officer and say this, I will step out and comply, but I do not consent to any searches. Those exact words. If they keep asking questions, add this. I choose to remain silent. That gives you a clean, calm response that does two things at once. You obey the order, and you protect your rights. Let me show you exactly why this works. In Pennsylvania versus Mimms, the Supreme Court said police can order a driver out of a lawfully stopped car, plain English. If the stop is valid, they can tell you to step out and you should comply. Fighting that order on the roadside usually helps no one. But Mimms did not say, stepping out means you agreed to a search. Those are two different things. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. You can comply with the order and still refuse the search. That is the line you have to keep separate in your mind. Bad way. Most drivers say, why? What did I do? Then they argue, get emotional, and the stop gets worse fast. Good way. Smart drivers say, I will step out and comply, but I do not consent to any searches. Then they stay calm and stop giving extra fuel. Watch what happens when you separate compliance from consent. The officer loses the easy claim that you are being difficult while also losing your permission to search. That matters. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the drivers who stay calm and use one clean line usually look much stronger on camera. The ones who argue every little thing often end up talking themselves into more trouble. And you need to remember something else. Once you are out of the car, police are watching everything. Your hands, your pockets, your body language, your words. So keep it simple. Step out slowly. Close the door if told. Stand where directed. Do not lean back into the car. Do not make sudden moves. Do not volunteer excuses. If the officer asks, you got anything illegal in there? Do not start trying to sound innocent. Innocent people talk too much all the time. They start listing random items. They start explaining where they were 2 hours ago. They start guessing what the officer already knows. That is how small stops get bigger. Your line protects you because it leaves less to twist later. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because calm compliance looks better than roadside debate every single time. Most people already clicked away. If you're still here, you're in the top 10%. Drop a comment saying I'm still here, because the next tactic is where drivers talk themselves straight into a search. The fourth tactic is shutting down the fishing questions. This one feels harmless, but it is deadly for your case. The officer asks where you are going, where you are coming from, who owns the car, why your friend said something different, why you look nervous, why there are fast food bags in the back, why there is a suitcase in the trunk. These questions sound random, but they are not random. They are meant to get you talking until your story gets messy. Then your normal stress becomes suspicious behavior. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, I prefer to remain silent. If they keep going, repeat it. I prefer to remain silent. That sentence is short, calm, and powerful. Now be careful. You still need to give basic documents when the law requires it. You still need to identify yourself if your state requires that. But you do not have to turn a traffic stop into a long interview. Arizona v. Johnson helps explain the game here. In plain English, the Supreme Court said police can ask unrelated questions during a traffic stop as long as those questions do not stretch the stop too long. That means the questions themselves are often allowed. So your protection is not winning a debate. Your protection is not feeding the questions. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection when the officer starts fishing for contradictions. Bad way. Most drivers say, I'm just coming from my cousin's place. Well, actually my friend's place. We grabbed food. I mean, not really food. Then the officer hears nerves and calls it a suspicious story. Good way. Smart drivers say, Officer, I prefer to remain silent. Then the officer gets fewer extra facts to use against them. This is where you need discipline. You may feel like silence makes you look guilty. It doesn't. It makes you careful. And careful is smart. Former police officers have confirmed this works because roadside questions are often used to test reactions, not just get facts. If you answer 10 questions under stress, you will likely say something awkward, and awkward gets written down. Here's why your silence matters so much. A lot of cases are built from tiny statements that seemed harmless at the time. I just came from a friend's house. I'm in a hurry. That bag isn't mine. I forgot that was back there. Each one sounds small. Together, they become a story the officer likes and you hate. So save yourself the damage. Keep your answers to the legally required basics. Then stop. Now let's put the law together in simple English so you know why these tactics protect you. In Pennsylvania v. Mimms, the Supreme Court said police can order you out of the car during a lawful stop. That means you should comply, but compliance does not equal consent. In Rodriguez v. United States, the Supreme Court said police cannot drag out a stop longer than needed just to go hunting for another crime, unless they have a real reason. Plain English. They cannot keep you there forever hoping something turns up. And in Florida v. Jimeno, the Supreme Court said general consent to search a car can let police open containers inside if a normal person would think the object they want could be in there. Plain English. If you say yes to a search, you may be saying yes to much more than you think. These cases connect straight to the tactics you learned. Ask if you are free to leave. Refuse consent clearly. Comply with orders, but do not confuse that with permission. And stop answering fishing questions that only help the other side. Now let me show you exactly how this plays out in real life. You're driving home at night, you get pulled over for a broken tag light, the officer takes your license and registration. A few minutes later they come back, hand everything to you and say, I'm just giving you a warning tonight. You feel relief. Then they smile and ask, by the way, where are you headed? This is where most drivers blow it. Bad way. Most drivers say, just home, but I was at my buddy's place and we stopped for food. And I'm kind of in a rush. Then the officer hears nervous details, asks more questions, and suddenly wants consent to search. Then the driver says, I guess that's okay. Then the officer finds something in a backpack, or even just creates a much bigger problem from a small stop. Good way. Smart drivers say, Officer, am I free to leave? If the officer says yes, you leave. If the officer says no, you know the stop is still live. Then the officer asks, you mind if I take a quick look in the car? You answer, Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then the officer says, step out of the vehicle. You answer, I will step out and comply, but I do not consent to any searches. Then they ask where you were coming from. You say, Officer, I prefer to remain silent. Look at the difference in outcomes for you. In the wrong version, you handed them details, permission, and confusion. In the right version, you gave them calm compliance and almost nothing extra to use. That is how you protect your rights without making the stop chaotic. Next video, I'm revealing what to say when cops claim they smell weed. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it, because that line gets drivers searched every single day. So let's lock this in before you forget it. First, when the stop looks over, you ask, Officer, am I free to leave? That tells you where you really stand. Second, if they want to search, you say, Officer, I do not consent to any searches. That blocks the easiest road into your car. Third, if they order you out, you comply, but you say you do not consent to any searches. Fourth, when the fishing questions start, you stop feeding them and say you prefer to remain silent. You do not need fancy words, you need clean words, you need calm words, and you need them ready before the lights ever hit your mirror. Hit subscribe so you catch that weed smell video next, smash the like button if this helped you protect your rights, and drop a comment telling me which line you're going to memorize first. Stay safe out there.